Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition right here on Thumb Coast TV. I'm Brady Beedon. He's Dennis Stuckey. And there were some good. It was not a terrible week, but it was the teams we thought would win did win for the most part. Teams we knew had an uphill battle, they never really got a step or two up the hill. We'll start with PH because that was the game you were at on Friday night. 34-6, they lose to De La Salle. They just didn't play the game they needed to. They got down early, and they settled in for a moment, but they never had a shot here.
Yeah, I mean, De La Salle got the ball first, scored in 3 plays, and you're like, uh-oh. And then PH, at least defensively, they settled down. They actually got a big 4th down stop in their own territory in the first quarter to keep it 6-0. They blocked 3 extra points in this game, which is unusual. And I mean, they weren't missed extra points, blocked. Volpe, all 3 times, right up the middle. But that was kind of the highlight for them. It was 14-0 late in the first half. PH had gotten a sack, and then De La Salle tried a screen pass, and the guy got tackled for a 2-yard loss. So it was 3rd and 20 from their own 29 with about 1:40 to go in the half, 14-0. PH was getting the ball first to start the third quarter, so they actually took a timeout here thinking you get a stop on 3rd down, we're going to get the ball back. If we can get points here at the end of the half, we get the ball first.
With a chance to tie.
It's a football game. And what happens on 3rd and 20? They chuck a 71-yard touchdown pass, make it 20-0. Then PH quickly turned the ball over on a 3-and-out, and De La Salle struck again just before halftime. And all of a sudden, in less than 2 minutes, it went from a 14-0 game with PH actually having a mathematical chance to tie it to it's 28-0, the game's over.
And here's the thing. All right, De La Salle, even their bad is pretty darn good. Like, a down year for De La Salle is most teams' best team of a generation. So the fact that their record was bad, we knew that they were still going to be pretty darn tough. 95% of the teams that would have played their schedule in the state of Michigan don't go 3-6.
No, they go 1-8.
Yeah, maybe 2-7. They find a second one in there. But the De La Salle team's pretty good. For PH, it sucks in the moment that you lose, and you do so in non-competitive fashion. There was never a point where you went, ooh, PH has a shot. I mean, really after that, the 3rd touchdown. But for PH, for them to get to this point, I think puts them a lot ahead of schedule. Joey Seppo, Joey Gilbert, Tesla, some others, very nice players that I wish weren't seniors, that I wish the best of luck to because they help this team out a lot. There's a lot of Red Hawks that are staying home next year that are this team. Next year, Dennis, going to be talking about them as a team that is going to be an early season favorite.
Yeah.
They're going to have more hype than a lot going into next year.
They've got a lot of talent, and I do think that they will have a chance again to be a contender in the blue. I don't know what Cousin O is losing.
You know what? I'll just say it because why not? They're the favorite in the blue next year. Well, I don't know what the blue's going to be. It's a realignment year. If they stay in it, they're the favorite. Why not? I'll be cocky.
Yeah,
I like a lot that they bring back. I like the young guys they have coming up.
I like and Peyton Mullins had a 59 or Trey. Sorry,
wrong one.
Back a couple of years. Trey had a 59-yard run when they put him into the game, and believe me. Yeah, the backups were on the field for De La Salle, but De La Salle's backups would be mostly starters for teams in our area. So I consider that a legit. The one other thing I'll say about De La Salle is they played that schedule with a sophomore quarterback. I'm telling you what, that kid's going to be really good the next 2 years.
That sophomore quarterback has been visiting Power 5.
Yeah.
Like he's
legit.
I think he's the number 2 ranked quarterback in the state. You're going to be watching him on Saturdays and on big games on Saturday.
He's legit. So.
Speaking of good quarterbacks, Frankenmuth beat Richmond 38-6. Richmond gave up the opening kickoff for a score and then turned it over, then a 50-yard touchdown run, and you're dead. You're just done. The final score was 38-6. That was the score at halftime. Richmond dug themselves in a hole they were never going to get out of. And unfortunately, Richmond ran into a buzzsaw, and they didn't play their best game. They were going to have to play, I wasn't going to say A+, but an A game. Like, they could make a small mistake or two, but you're down 14-0 before the popcorn's popped. You're not coming back against Frankenmuth. They needed to, we talked about it, keep it close for as long. And I mean, Trenton Coleman had a 91-yard touchdown reception, but then what did Frankenmuth do? Got the ball back, went right down and scored to make it 28-6. And unfortunately, a magical year for Richmond ends. But Dennis, they're 9-2, and they don't get the district title trophy. They don't get a BWAC trophy. So in 20 years, you're going to be looking up at the banners, and 2025 isn't going to pop up. But they're 9-2. They're 2 losses. Almont now 11-0. Frankenmuth 10-1. The 2 teams they lost to were 21-1. Now, they weren't super competitive in this game, and that's disappointing. But I will say, they lose some guys like Towner and Evans, and there's a few others that I don't have on the top of my head. This is another team bringing a lot back that I have high hopes for to continue it. It's not going to be a one-year blip. It's going to be, hopefully, the first of a long stretch of Richmond being good again.
Yeah, that's my hope too. I feel good for Coach Misko because, and I've been one of the people that's been kind of a naysayer against Richmond in the last few years, and they really came together this year.
They skipped a step. They went from being just at best average to BWAC title contender.
Yeah.
Usually there's a year of, you're 7-2, 6-3, but you never really had a shot against the big. No, they went right to the.
They went right to the top.
Yeah, they just fell short against Almont.
Yeah. I also want to. Benetti was sensational this year.
Which, by the way, congratulations to Don Benetti, verbally committed to play baseball at Notre Dame over the weekend.
That doesn't surprise me.
He is a big-time athlete.
Yeah. We haven't talked enough about Gage Towner and the season that he had for them. That Richmond defense was legit this year, and Gage was a big, huge contributor to that.
Yes. So Richmond season comes to an end, but they do get 2 wins over Armada. First time they've ever done that in their school's history in the same season. They, outside of Almont, they wiped away all the negative streaks. Not having beaten Croslex in a half decade, not having beaten North Branch in that amount of time. They hadn't beaten Armada since 2019 too, and they got rid of all of that. And I think there's a fervor and an excitement for Richmond.
And a lot of those losses that they took from those teams were not competitive games. This year, they flipped the switch on people. I mean, the Armada games both went down to the wire.
Right.
But, they brought the wampum stick out on, the other teams that they hadn't been beating.
So, Dennis, let's go to the game I was at, Almont and Marine City. And this was a game that the beginning of the year we knew was possible and we would have loved to have it. And not to say it was anticlimactic because it was still a competitive game. It wasn't like Almont was toying with Marine City, but Marine City was a bit beat up all the way back to the preseason, and Almont's just really good. Those young guys, they needed to step up. They're not playing like young guys. They're playing like veterans now. Almont wins 27-0, wins another district title. Now 4-0 against Marine City, by the way. First time the Mariners have been shut out in 19 seasons, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's just
you don't go 2 decades without running into one just unbelievable defense. But that's what Marine City did. Almont, all the credit in the world to them. Almont goes down the field, third play of the game, bang, 3rd and 7, Corno touchdown run, 67 yards out. And you're going, uh-oh. Marine City marched down the field, got it to 4th and goal, and Eli Volkman, it was in his hands. He was holding the football, and Matt Boholski just reached his hand in there and went, nope, knocked it out, got a stop. Then Almont got to 4th and goal, and the Mariners got a stop. And you're going, okay, we got a ball game. They get stopped, punt, and Almont goes down and scores to make it 14-0. And that's where it was at the half. And Almont was getting the ball to start the 3rd quarter. And you're going, God, if Marine City was getting the ball to start. And you're going, man, if Marine City doesn't go down and score this game, they're dead. 3-and-out punt, and you're going, all right, well, who's winning the Edison Collegiate game? But then Marine City got a stop, and you're like, ooh, they have some life. They just couldn't do much. In the third quarter, Lincoln Osterlin got hurt. His ankle, it's something with it looked like an ankle. And at that point, Marine City from the preseason was down running back 1, quarterback 1 / running back 1, whatever you want to call Osterlin, athlete 1. Then their other quarterback, Tucker Volkman, went out mid-year. They never had Nick Ruffino. There's not a lot of teams where you can take away 2 running backs, a quarterback, and a linebacker and be competitive with Almont.
And yet, I knew Marine City wasn't going to roll over. I knew that they'd be competitive in this game. But you also knew they just weren't going to have enough firepower. Almont is too good.
You can say next man up all you want, but at the end of the day, it kind of becomes a math equation where you're looking around and you're going, these kids aren't ready.
And especially, you don't have 50 guys.
And you're in D6. Hey, you know what? Northern, as long as it's not the wrong guy or two, you can lose 2-3 guys. Happens all the time in D1, D2. As long as it's not like the dude, you can survive it. Marysville can do that at the point now. In fact, they did at the start of the year. They were down a few guys that maybe it cost them the Fitzgerald game, but they were still a good team.
Yeah, they played a couple of weeks without their quarterback, and Likens went right in and did a fine job.
But when you're in D6, you have 30-some kids on the roster. Yeah, that makes it tough. But congratulations to Almont. They're 11-0. They weren't supposed to be 11-0, Dennis. I know we've talked about this a lot, but I cannot emphasize to the viewer at home that coming into this year, we thought Almont would be good. But if you would have said, Dennis, they're playing for a regional final or a regional title, what would their record be? You'd probably say 9-2. They probably drop a couple games throughout the year,
they'd have at least one loss going through the BWAC gauntlet.
Yeah, they're not running the table, and yet a huge.
Is it 3 years in a row now they have run the table?
Yes, they have one regular season loss in the last 3 years, and it's been unbelievable for Almont. Congratulations to Coach Lusby and his staff. A premier coaching job, because I'll tell you what, not that we don't have a lot of good coaches, but they made the job they did, they made it look not as difficult as it was. I'm not putting it in the best way, but they made it look easier than it was having these kids ready.
Yeah.
Because you just see the final product, and I know it wasn't a straight line for them. They have some really good players. Brody Corneau is awesome. Boholsky, Lane is awesome. They have Furquan, a lot of guys that are awesome, but it's not like they have 5 guys that are getting ready to go play Division I D, go to the GLIAC and play D2 football. They turn them into football players, and Almont has another district title.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys, too, that there's a lot of guys we don't mention enough.
Because
Jacob Stewart does a great job.
Oh, yeah, that's a name
He's an unsung hero.
Because he's the third back.
O'Neill's not just a really good kicker, which he's one of the better kickers, but he's a good tight end.
That's Ryan, his brother,
Yeah, they got a tight end. They've got guys that play both sides of the ball. But Boholsky, as good as he is on offense, is better on defense.
Yes, he was awesome.
And Corneau might be the same way, but his offensive numbers are just so ridiculous that they can't be ignored.
Last game I want to mention, Harbor Beach beat USA 35-12. I mean, I'll give USA credit. They fought more than they did the first time around. Beach is just a state title contender, and USA is not. It's kind of that simple.
Yeah, and it's Beach going, okay, we've done enough here. Let's start thinking about probably Beale City.
And let's be honest, you beat a team by, 48 the first time?
Beat them 52-6
46 the first time. It's hard to get a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-olds to go, no, you have to take this team seriously. And they're going, Coach, we're good. And was it the prettiest? No. Could they have beat them by more? Sure. But now it enters the real stuff for Harbor Beach, where a spot where they lost last year, remember, they were 11-0, and they were on cruise control for 10 of those weeks. And then they hit a Michigan-sized pothole, and their season came to an end real fast.
Yeah, they had to go out to Fowler, and that didn't go well for them. The good news is they get this game at home. Mm-hmm. The bad news is this is, for some people, and I don't want to slight Hudson because they're really good, But for a lot of people, this might be the state championship
Yes,
game.
it might be. So we'll also talk 8-man scores on the other side. Capac fell to Kingston. Deckerville, they just keep doing it. And we'll take a look at the teams that are left, their regional final or semifinal opponents when we come back here on the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition here on Thumbcoast TV.
From doctor's appointments to work, shopping, and dining adventures, Blue Water Area Transit buses are the lifeline of our community. Depend on us for a ride that connects you to life's essentials. Blue Water Area Transit. Ride the wave.
Riding the bus will avoid the hustle and save you lots of dough. Road rage, don't chance it. Ride Blue Water Transit everywhere you go.
Welcome back to the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition, right here on Thumbcoast TV. Brady and Dennis. The Cinderella story of Capac came to an end in a regional final against Kingston. They lose 32-8. However, this was an 8-8 game in the final moments of the third quarter. Capac just ran out of gas. Kingston pulled away, but Capac, man, you want to talk about a magical season. Chiefs have nothing to hang their heads about.
No, this was a great season for them. Really turned the program around. They're going to lose some key components off this team. I hope they're able to sustain this. I hope what this did got people excited in Capac, got the kids excited at Capac and thinking about football next year. Mm-hmm. Hey, I want to be a part of this if you weren't playing this year.
Well, and it gets excitement throughout the whole community. Again, this is a program in Capac. They went down to 8-man, I believe in 2021 was the first year they were 8-man. They weren't kicked out of the BWAC, but they mutually agreed to part ways when they got small and bad and they were losing at everything. And they said, all right, we need to get out of this league. And it's been hard times for Capac for really the last 15 years. They hadn't been in the playoffs since 2011. They hadn't won a playoff game since 2009. And they hadn't played for a regional title since 2001. It's a long time. Those kids weren't born for a lot of those events. I mean, if you're a sophomore, you were never alive for a Capac playoff win. And they do all these things, and not only do they do it, they went to Deckerville and got a win. Team that's still playing, talk about them in a second. Yeah. They went to Brown City and came back from down 30-8, and you know what?
To win a playoff game.
To win a playoff game against a Brown City team that, as soon as they went to 8-man, established themselves as a top 10 team in 8-man year in and year out.
Have a state championship. They probably would have won a state championship last year had they been eligible to play in the playoffs because they were like two kids.
You can make that argument. They've gotten to a semifinal before, but they just come up short against Kingston. And yes, it stinks, and Kingston's really good. And there's a chance Kingston wins it all, but I cannot say from someone that's just been an outsider admiring from afar, and it sounds weird to say that, but how proud I am of Capac because even 2 years ago, you're going, oh, Capac, let's hope they win 3 games.
Yeah.
You're trying really hard.
Well, we were excited because the last couple of years, Capac has established themselves as the top middle of the pack team in their league. And this year they beat 2 teams that just don't lose games.
And the first time against Kingston, they lost 42-0. Never a game. They got slaughtered by Brown City, and they come back and win those other ones. Again, amazing year for Capac. Has to end. Kingston will play Martin on Saturday. We'll see if Kingston can keep it going. I know we don't really talk about them, but if someone's going to win it, I have no qualms with Kingston doing it.
Of the teams left in 8-player Division I, Kingston's the team I'm rooting for.
Deckerville's left in 8-player Division II, and Dennis, we just talked about it with Marine City. The lower enrollment schools you go, the more injuries matter. So when I heard Deckerville's senior quarterback got hurt and was out for the season, and then they lose to Capac, and they have a freshman playing, I go, all right, well, man, that sucks for Deckerville. Sometimes you don't get the injury luck, and it happens, and that plays a role in getting to a state championship is you need to stay healthy, and you've seen how many teams lose a key player. Look at Almont last year. They could have been a state championship team. They lost the wrong kids, But no, Deckerville, they beat Morris by a point last week, and then they go down to Britton Deerfield and a 28-8 win where there was never in doubt, 21-0 at half, and Deckerville going to a semifinal because that's all Bill Brown and Deckerville does.
They play defense. Look, folks.
Britton Deerfield was averaging
51
half
points,
100.
yeah.
They were averaging, it wasn't like this was another defensive team. This was an offense that scored at will, and Deckerville just went, nah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not against us.
Sure. Why not? I have doubted them like 4 times. When we did the picks, I lost 3 of my like 20 games on Deckerville, and then I would have picked Britton Deerfield, and you know what? Deckerville's just going to win every game forever. I don't care anymore. They're awesome.
I hope so.
They're awesome.
I hope so.
Deckerville on a 200-game win streak. Why not? Capac was losing to Capac shaped them up apparently.
Yeah, it was the kick in the pants that they needed to remind them that that's not the standard we play to here. I'm all for it. I know it's a different division for them this year, but I'd like them to win back-to-back state titles. They're 2 wins away from it. And a couple of weeks ago after the Capac loss, we were scratching our heads wondering would they even get out of their first playoff game. Like, they blew a lot of things losing to Capac.
Yes.
They would have been hosting games they wouldn't have had to gone to Britton Deerfield. It would have been the other way around, or another team would have had to come up to Deckerville to play them. So it kind of threw things off kilter. I'm going to throw this stat out before I forget about it. But our games this week, our local teams have not lost to their opponents.
There you go.
It's not a big sample size, but Almont's 3-0 against Edison. Harbor Beach is 2-0 against Beale City, with one of those wins being the one time Beach has won a state championship. They beat Beale City in the final. And Deckerville's 2-0 against Portland St. Patrick.
Well, let's talk about it. You mentioned Deckerville plays 11-0, Portland St. Patrick. Looking at it, I think Portland St. Patrick should win. But Deckerville has voodoo. I don't know if they have Amish magic up there. I don't know if Bill Brown has made a deal with a deity not on this plane. But he is unbelievable. I mean, he's going to be, if he's not a Hall of Famer already, a Hall of Famer. And if he coaches for a long time, he might end up being one of the most winningest coaches in the history of the state of Michigan. And sure, Deckerville's going to, this Portland St. Patrick team that's done nothing but just decapitate teams for 11 weeks is going to somehow only score like 10 points, and Deckerville's going to go back to the Superior Dome. And I'll be a very happy camper.
It's just culture, man. You do something right for 40 years. Nothing against Portland St. Patrick. I bet if we go back, the last decade has been wonderful for them. But Deckerville's been doing it for 4 decades. This is what they do.
Bill Brown's in his 31st season, and he's done nothing but win. I mean, Portland St. Patrick is a pretty darn good team. They lost in the finals a couple years in a row in 19 and 20. They've actually made it to the finals 3 separate times in 8-man. But sure, Deckerville's going to find a way to get this done. All right, let's go to the 11-man games. Almont's playing Edison. Now, you tell me, which one of these was more indicative of what we are going to see on Friday night? Almont in the first half against Edison gave up, I believe it was 38 points in the first half to Edison. That means they only gave up 8 in the second half, outscored them 28-8 in quarters 3 and 4 to get the win. Which one of that is more indicative of what we'll see against a high-flying Edison team?
I've got a feeling that it will be easier for Almont to figure out a way to slow Edison down than it will be for Edison to figure out a way to slow Almont down. Almont scored 53 points against them. The other 2 times they've played, I think it was 48 or 49 points and 42 or 45 points. I mean, Edison doesn't know what to do with the wing tee or anything else that Almont mixes into it, because they can mix other things into it. So I'm less worried about this game. Yeah, could Edison win? Sure, they can. They are very talented, and they do score a lot of points. But I just feel like Almont can come up with a scheme to stop Edison better than Edison can come up with a scheme to stop Almont.
Obviously, they made adjustments, or they figured something out, because you give up 38.5. Dennis, Almont hadn't given up more than 21 in a game outside of this. So 38.5 was jarring, and then 1 touchdown in the second half. I think Almont's the favorite in this one, but I'm not going to completely disrespect Edison and say they have no chance.
But I am also gonna throw this in, and I don't know if it mattered or not, but this week you're playing for a regional championship and a chance to go to the semifinals, and probably face a team that if you beat them, you're the favorite to win a state title.
Well, here's the thing: is I do.
And the first meeting was a Week 9 game where Almont had wrapped everything up. It didn't matter if they won or lost. It wasn't going to change anything. They were going to host through their district and get a home game in a regional. And so I don't know if that factored into it. And maybe at halftime they went, "Hey guys, we're better than this. Let's crank it up and play the way we play."
I hope you're right. But here is the thing: I do think there's a little bit of from everyone that was a part of that team last year. I don't think they're happy with how last year ended, and I know that was a pre-district loss, and they're already in the regional final. Listen, we've said it a lot. There's one thing that's eluded Almont. They've gone 9-0. They've won the BWAC. They've set BWAC winning streak records. They've gotten to Ford Field. They just haven't won it, and I think that's the one thing that they're a program, and they're maybe the 1 or 2 programs we have, I mean, I guess Deckerville's included, where you can go, Ford Field or bust. Lumen Christi be damned, Edison be damned. We get there, and then it's not just, hey, we're here, we're happy. Wow, look how big Ford Field is. Look how nice this turf is. It's, no, we need to win this, and we need to finally get that one.
Yeah. Full agreement there.
Beale City and Harbor Beach matchup, that's going to be a huge clash in D8. The winner of that is likely getting to Ford Field, probably going to play Hudson all year long. It's been Beach, it's been Beale City, and it's been Hudson. And if you're not familiar with Beale City, they have as storied of a program as you can in the state of Michigan, especially for a public school.
Yeah, absolutely. Saw them a few years ago against Ubley. Thought Ubley should have won the game, but Beale City figured it out because good teams figure it out. So this is exciting. You know what's exciting for me? Is I feel like this is the week I've been waiting for all year with this Beach team, where they're gonna come with everything that they have, and we're gonna see just how good they actually are, because they're pretty good, and I think they've been going half speed most of the year.
Beale City's the defending D8 state champion. I mean, they've played in a few, or more than a few, but they're a power in D8.
Yeah, these two teams are going to be highly motivated for this game.
Yeah, and it's going to be the one game that's like, all right, now it's time to wake up. I mean, Dennis, I know you've seen teams at all different levels that have kind of gone, all right, let us know when we get to this point. And they got to this point, and it should be a huge clash. It's a Saturday game up in Harbor Beach, but we'll see how it shakes out. I imagine this is going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah. 3 Saturday games this week. 3 Saturday afternoon games.
Yeah, Almont's the only
one playing Friday night.
Which is a bit weird. Beale City all-time, by the way, 543 and 223. A 708 win percentage.
Yeah, they're incredible. And like you say, they make state finals like apples falling from a tree.
They have lost 9 games in the 2020s.
That's pretty impressive.
9 games. For context, Harbor Beach has been really solid as well, but just to give you a perspective, in the 2020s, Harbor Beach has lost 13 games. Yeah. And Harbor Beach is an
Most
awesome...
of those to Ubley, probably, when Ubley was really good.
Yeah, right. There are at least 3 or 4 of them. So we mentioned that. We mentioned the 8-man, Deckerville. They play, Mount Pleasant against Portland St. Patrick on Saturday for a trip to the Uperdome. And Kingston will take on Martin. That one's at Chelsea
yeah.
in a semifinal game.
This is only, I think, the second time Kingston has reached the semifinals, and the other was against Martin.
Is the Big Thumb black? Maybe the blue or whatever, the one that they're in, the Big Thumb blue.
They're the
Blue's
blue.
bigger.
Yeah, the blue is bigger than the
Is
red.
the Big Thumb Blue the best 8-man conference in the state?
You could make that argument.
I
Again, I don't know a lot
about the rest.
all the other leagues, but every year we go into the season going, Deckerville has a chance to win, Brown City has a chance to win it all, Kingston has a chance to win it all. And the last couple of years, In the lower division, Bay City All Saints has kind of risen.
I guess for at least this year, we have to throw Capac in there.
Yeah, and
you could make an argument that the top 4 in the Big Thumb Blue might have been 4 of the 10 best teams in the state.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't know. I know there's a lot of good 8-man up in the UP and the upper lower peninsula, but
yeah, that's the thing.
Really good.
If you don't go through everybody's schedule, which would take us months, you don't know so there are difference between some 11-0 teams and other 11-0 teams,
and
where somebody hasn't played anybody all year and they're so good that they just crush everybody, and then they actually face another good team and it's a different story.
All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition. Next week, hopefully Almont, Deckerville, Harbor Beach, I'll throw Kingston in there. Hopefully they're all still standing, and we'll talk about what could be a lot of semifinals and some state finals next week right here on the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition here on Thumbcoast TV.